Raymond Arroyo sitting in for Laura Ingraham, and we're playing that iconic theme because we're joined by the former CEO of Godfather's Pizza, Herman Cain, who is a likely GOP candidate for president. I think he's joining us from Iowa, correct, Mr. Cain?
That is correct, and thank you for having me on. I'm
delighted
in
to
Ames,
have
Iowa,
you here.
as we speak.
Ah, okay. I know you're there with all these other contenders. First of all, the establishment here in Washington is saying, with Huckabee's withdrawal from the campaign, with Trump out, the only likely candidates are Pawlenty and Daniels. Do you view either of those men as a threat, and why?
I don't view either one of them as a threat, and here's why. The Washington establishment, they tend to evaluate and stack people up based upon name ID and money. That's the typical top-down political model that most of the media see through their lens. If you come to Iowa, like I have been here now 16 times, you'll find out that it's not just about name ID and money. It is about your grassroots organization, people on the ground. I did an event yesterday. In fact, I've done several events yesterday, and I've had standing room only crowds. And so I think their attempt to try and predict where the Huckabee voters are going to go, I think they're going to find out that they just might be dead wrong.
What do you make of this Newt Gingrich flap? Newt attacking Paul Ryan's plan and then saying, we just had a disagreement, but there's no problem here. Do you think this has damaged him permanently?
I think it has damaged him permanently. First of all, I was shocked, like a lot of other people, that he made the statement that he did, and then characterized what Ryan was proposing as he did. And I think it has damaged him permanently. Newt was also in Iowa yesterday at an event going on similar to about the time that my event was going on. And we've had reports from people that said that he was very coolly received rather than the normal enthusiastic reception that he normally gets. So I think that it was a major mistake on his part, and I think that a lot of people are basically going to keep that in mind.
What do you think of Indiana Governor Mitch Daniels? He's called for this truce on social issues, and you've got all the pundits here begging him to get in. They're waiting for his triumphant, ascension here. Do you think he's a credible contender in this race?
I think that he's a credible contender, primarily because he has a very credible record as to what he did in his home state of Indiana. However, here again, the pundits are trying to drive this nomination based upon name ID and money. I'm not as well known because I don't have governor, former speaker, former senator, former representative in front of my name. A lot of people just call me Mr. Cain, and I'm honored to be called Mr. Cain. But what I'm finding out here is that most of the people on the ground and most of the base, they are not so wrapped up in that old model of you've held public office before, because my background as a problem solver is resonating with people. I think he's a very credible candidate, but I don't think that he would run away with it if he were to decide to get in the race. It's still a very wide open race.
I have to say something, and this is not my personal opinion. I see it in the emails, and I hear it from the callers. With the withdrawal of Huckabee and Trump from this race, many are saying you are one of the few people who cut through and are able to communicate in a no-nonsense way that truly resonates with people. Do you believe that, and do you see this as an opening for you in this race?
I do believe it, and I do see it as an opening, and all it has done is made the opening even wider. I was already resonating with a lot of people for exactly those reasons. As you may recall from the South Carolina debate, that focus group used words like refreshing, direct, doesn't sound like a politician, and that's because I'm not a career politician. I'm a career problem solver. So thank you for that observation, because that's exactly what I'm seeing, and that's exactly what I'm hearing. And so what we plan to do is to continue to do what we've been doing, and that is spending a lot of time getting to know people and giving people an opportunity to know me.
Does the Trump void Did he have a sizable enough following in your estimation that you want to go after that group of people who might have been following him, or were they already receptive to your message?
I think that the people that were supporting Trump were already receptive to my message. I don't see that as a huge void. The only thing that could possibly be to my advantage with him dropping out is maybe some of his donors, because of his financial stature. Maybe some of his donors might take a closer look at me because I'm a businessman with a problem-solving business background. So I don't see it as a huge opportunity for pickup, but I think that might be some opportunity.
Mr. Cain, I want to go to a caller. Arthur is calling from Norfolk, Virginia, and he disagrees. He thinks that Newt was right to condemn Ryan's plan, Paul Ryan's plan. Arthur, why do you think that?
Good afternoon, Raymond. Good morning, Raymond. First of all, Raymond, our whole family enjoys your show on Thursday night. It's appointment television for us, and thank you for that. And Mr. Cain, I'm glad you're running. You're bringing a different perspective to the race. But I've known Newt Gingrich for a long time. Met him over 20 years ago, and I know he's probably the deepest thinker in the race. And his plan is not Obamacare or Obamacare Light. His idea is that we recognize that everybody needs to have insurance, or he said post a bond, like a Rush Limbaugh or a Robert Redford, who maybe doesn't want to deal with the insurance company bureaucracy, who's going to pay their own way. That's fine. But what about the folks? And I've been in the situation where I've had to go to the emergency room because my private doctor told me to.
Okay, so Arthur, I got to get you to put a sharper point on this. So you believe he was right to criticize Paul Ryan's plan. Tell me succinctly why.
Well, I think that Paul Ryan's plan turns its back on a lot of people. I've been to the emergency room, and I've seen the people who use the emergency room as a private doctor, and then, and my sister works in the billing at a hospital, they don't pay the bill.
Let me let Herman Cain respond. Mr. Cain, go ahead.
All right. First of all, you're not with all due respect, sir, you're not looking at the entire problem. That is one aspect. Secondly, Paul Ryan gives seniors a choice to make a choice about their doctors and their providers. This is what's not being picked up in the rhetoric. And then my third point that I want to make, if you provide market-driven incentives to make it more affordable and accessible for people, such as leveling the playing field in terms of the deductibility on the current tax code, things of this nature, allowing insurance to be bought across state lines, I think that more people would choose, if they could afford it, which I believe market-driven incentives would drive it down. Then it's just like people don't have to buy a car. Why do they buy a car? Because of the convenience of it. And so if we make it too easy for people to abuse the emergency room services, they will abuse it. So let's make it easier for people to be able to buy it on their own.
Mr. Cain, two quick questions before we let you go. One, Michelle Bachmann, it looks like she's making noises that she's going to enter this race. Are you concerned about her candidacy entering this field?
No, I'm not. I would welcome her entering this Republican presidential primary. I think that any strong candidate enters it. I think it's just going to make the whole field better. It's just going to make the campaign between now and the straw poll and the caucuses that much stronger and that much better. And the more strong people that the Republicans have vying for the Republican nomination, the more we're going to get the message about what the Republican Party and conservatives are all about in this country. So I would welcome her in, and I don't see it as a threat. I would welcome it because I think it's all good for the conservative cause.
It appears that the Obama administration is now dealing directly with the Taliban. They are entering into negotiations. Is that a wise strategy?
There's an old saying in the South where I grew up. If you deal with a snake and you know it's a snake, then you're bound to get bitten. And based upon some good old common sense logic, I cannot see for the life of me how that is a wise move. But there again, maybe they know something that I don't know. That is quite possible. But I just don't see on the surface how that could be advantageous.
Mm-hmm. You were criticized for not dealing in enough depth with foreign policy. Is this because you're not comfortable debating the course America should take when it comes to the numerous conflicts we're engaged in?
No, that's not it at all. It's just that I don't want to make an irresponsible decision. I mean, the president has dug himself into some holes, making some promises. I'm trying to get the American people and the people that are looking at me in this campaign to appreciate the approach to problem solving that I use. I don't shoot from the lip. I know a little bit about what I would do. In other words, I know that if one of the objectives in Afghanistan was to help stabilize the government, the question that I would have to ask, are we really making any improvement or progress in that regard? So to say that I have the answers on all of these conflicts around the world, I'm simply not going to make an irresponsible statement or put some irresponsible plan on the table. It's not that I'm not comfortable talking about it. I'm very comfortable talking about it. It's just that I don't make decisions that way based upon not having all of the information that others might have at their disposal.
There was also this controversy this past week with Newt Gingrich calling President Obama a food stamp president. The media, many in the media, are saying that this is a racist statement. Do you agree?
I don't agree at all. I am sick and tired of the liberal mainstream media trying to take any and every comment by a conservative or a Republican, including Newt Gingrich, and turn it into some kind of race card. This is what's dividing this nation. And as an American black conservative, quite frankly, I, along with millions of others, are sick of this race card bait that they do. I don't believe Newt Gingrich had any racist intent in his mind or his heart whatsoever. And even though he is also vying for the Republican nomination, I will defend Newt Gingrich to the hilt because I know his head, I know his heart, and I've also known him for a long time. This is just more attempted manipulation of the race card on behalf of the narrow-minded people in the media, not all. Just some of those in the media that are looking for any and every opportunity to try and protect Barack Obama simply because of his race.
In our final moments, we only have 30 seconds. Do you think the wives and scrutiny of the wives and their relationships with their current husbands in this race, that's legitimate and a legitimate source of inquiry?
I don't think it is. I think it's a distraction. I mean, you do have a personal life. I don't subscribe to this whole point that, your wife should come under just as much scrutiny as you. And, for example, my wife has some heart medical problems, and she can't travel as much as I do. And I'm not going to drag my wife around on the campaign trail to kill her just because people want to see her out here. No. Wives, I think that should be considered off limits.
Very good. Herman Cain, best of luck in Iowa. We will be following you, and thank you so much for your time.
It's my pleasure, and thank you very much.
Talk to you soon. 1-800-876-4123 is the number. React to what you've heard from Herman Cain. We'll talk about the Trump leaving of this race and what openings it provides and where your support lies at this moment. 1-800-876-4123. Raymond Arroyo sitting in for my friend Laura Ingraham. This is the Laura Ingraham Show.
Thanks for listening to this podcast excerpt of The Laura Ingraham Show. If you'd like to receive podcasts of our complete shows, go to lauraingraham.com and sign up to become a member of Laura 365. Our Laura 365 members get commercial-free streams and podcasts of our shows every day we're on the air. And also you can listen to the last 30 days of The Laura Ingraham Show. Be ahead of the curve. Join Laura 365.